Wanted to talk about what insiders are saying about Georgia's scrimmage on Saturday. This is what we do over on Dog Post. We gather information, then we report back, and I did want to go over a lot of this stuff. I too also want to make sure that all these things that we're going to talk about right now, talking about the offense, how well the defense played, who looked really good, and so forth, I can't run it all down. So in the link below, I'm going to tell you, you can click on that, and you can read all of this and the updates when we have them. So generally speaking, as I talked about yesterday, this was a better day, I think, globally, with the exception of tackling. I think Georgia really feels comfortable with the scrimmage that they had on Saturday. Last Saturday, when you would talk to insiders, at the beginning they were kind of negative about it, but as time went on, I think, Kirby's view of the world on last Saturday, I think, was that it was a fine practice. This week, I think Kirby was more positive. I'll read what Kirby had to say. He said, the offense did a little better job this time. We had more explosive plays, some good opening drives. So when you start talking to people around and insiders and so forth around the program, inside the program, this scrimmage, the offense was able to do a little bit more. There was some plays down the field. The running backs had a few plays. But the biggest thing was that the offensive line played well. And that's been something that, generally speaking, there are two real major things. That's what I talk about in the article. And again, I want to make sure that you click on the link below. If you're watching this on mobile, you can still click on it. But the two biggest things that are kind of popping up right now are injuries and the offensive line. You talk to some people, they think that the injury stuff is overdone. Like the media is overdoing it. Fans are getting too concerned. But I have to say, Eric Gilbert's not out there. George Pickens is not going to be out there. Dominique Blaylock, we'll just see. But then, a week ago, you had a lot of guys out for the scrimmage. And this week, you even had John Fitzpatrick out. Warren Erickson was back out there, but he wasn't with the number one offensive line the bulk of the time. And Warren Erickson has been dealing with a hand injury. So the injuries are a concern. Let's not act like they're not. But the biggest thing beyond that is the offensive line. I think the offensive line had a solid day on Saturday. They weren't killing the defense, but they had a solid day on Saturday. And that group, from what we understand, left to right, was Jamari Sawyer, Justin Schaefer, Cedric Van Pran-Granger, Tate Ratledge, and Warren McClendon. So Warren McClendon is probably not, of all these people, Warren McClendon is the one person I think is not going to change at all. I am starting to be very skeptical that either of the guards will change, but they could change. Hold on in a minute. I think going into this game, though, the four outside linemen are probably going to be the people who play a lot. The center is a good question, and when you were talking with folks, it always depends on who you talk to, but I think there really is a big fight at center right now, and Warren Erickson's injury from a couple of weeks ago, the fact that he's dealing with new snapping and so forth, that has given Cedric Van Pran-Granger's SVPG. There's a lot of names here these days. That has given him the opportunity to have an opportunity, and he's taking advantage of it. So some people think he really did play well, but this is all going to hinge on Jamari. So he can play any spot. Most people that are insiders feel like he's an inside guy, a guard, probably a guard more than anything, but he can play center as well. This guy, he's a smart guy. I don't need to tell you the pedigree that he had at Pace. It really had a good career at Georgia so far. But I think the reason why he's probably going to start at left tackle is twofold. Number one, we're 13 days from this game kicking off. Number two, he was a starting left tackle 9 of 10 games last year at Georgia. Marius Mims has been dealing with a few injuries here and there. Broderick Jones, Amarius, Xavier Truss, Warren McClendon, and Jamari are all kind of at tackle, okay? But I think that the two tackles I said earlier are the two guys. Now, if you're clicking off of this, you might not be a dog post kind of person. I wouldn't encourage you if you've already started, obviously if you clicked off of it, you're not listening to me now. But if you're already this deep into the video, you want to make sure that you're clicking on the link below, because if you're listening to me talk about the offensive line, that means you know something about football. So I would encourage you to get there. I can only get so much information in these videos. The written word is more descriptive, even with the typos. So I would encourage you to click below. Now, one part in this report that I do write about, I want to read this paragraph for everybody. It said, this is what I wrote about last night. There are certainly issues at Georgia. The day, Saturday, appeared to be positive, but if you want to get your Larry Munson on, there are still plenty of issues to worry yourself about for the next 14 days. Injuries continue to be a concern, perhaps not as much as has been written about. Kirby Smart said on Saturday that he expects it to be full tilt when Clemson comes, when it comes time to play them. He kind of stopped himself in the middle of the sentence when he was talking. He added, "We had more guys today than we did the last scrimmage. We are in good position." So I don't know what that means for Eric Gilbert. I don't know what that means for Dominique Blaylock. Darnell Washington and Tyke Smith, I have an update on them. That's in the link below. I would really encourage you to click on that. It's becoming clear that the two quarterbacks are the top two, which are JT Daniels, which is not surprising. And I don't think it's really necessarily surprising that Carson Beck, who took a lot of the snaps with the number 2 unit in the spring and so forth, has kind of emerged as the number 2 in this group. Carson Beck's had a decent summer. So we'll just see how that goes. I think there's a lot of optimism about quarterback spot. You still have someone who's won multiple SEC games, and Stetson Bennett, who a lot of people are very happy is in the program. If you are in a pinch, you get down to your third guy. Stetson Bennett is about as good a third option as you can have. And let's be honest, too, he will probably be running the scout team offense a lot in 2021. That's going to matter, too. Now, he's not going to be able to be DJ Uiagalelei, okay? But he's going to be able to function to some degree. If he can mimic Baker Mayfield, he will give Georgia a pretty good look as far as what Clemson's going to do. You also have Brock Vandagriff, who can certainly run better than the Clemson quarterback can. So there's a lot. There's really a lot still to talk about. There are a couple of young players who are flashing. I would encourage you to go to Dog Post right now by clicking on the link below. We'll see you on the website.